So this is the Samsung Galaxy A54 and I've been using it for the past few weeks. And during that time, the price of the Pixel 7 dropped down to $449, matching the Galaxy A54. And I thought that would be a very good opportunity to compare both of these smartphones since they're priced at the exact same price point, right? But the thing is, the Pixel 7 went back up in price. It's now $599 again. And I already did my comparison, so I'm still gonna do the comparison because Google continuously drops the phone price of the Pixel 7. And as soon as the Pixel 7a comes out in the next month or so, you know this is going back down to $449 again. Now, if you live in North America, this is a great deal, especially if you're in Canada or the United States where the prices between the fluctuations are very similar, but I know in other parts of the world, the Pixel 7 is very expensive. The benefit of where you live is that you get access to more Chinese phones. You get the Realmes, the Xiaomis, the Pocos, the list goes on. So you have more mid-range contenders. Now, the Galaxy A54 being mid-range, I feel like Samsung did a good job of making it look very premium. In fact, it's hard to tell that it's a mid-range phone until you pull out the Galaxy S23 Plus. In fact, they're pretty much the exact same dimensions. The only difference comes down to the materials used in the device. There's a lot more metal on the Galaxy S23 Plus. There's a lot more glass. It's a premium smartphone. Whereas the Galaxy A54 is using a lot of plastic. It's a little bit lighter, but the look department pretty much nails it. Even the little details are better on the more expensive phone, like the rings around the camera have a bit more metal on the Galaxy S23 Plus. But from a usability standpoint, they're identical. You know, this is a little chunkier, but if you have long fingers like I do, you can completely use this as a one-handed smartphone. Like I could easily reach the top with my thumb without any issues. Now, if you do have a smaller hand, then this might feel a bit too big. And they could have made this phone smaller if they reduced the bezels. They're quite thick for this style of phone. Now, if you get the Pixel 7, you're getting glass, you're getting metal, you're getting a phone that's a little bit easier to hold in the hand, mostly due to the smaller bezels, but also because it has a slightly smaller display at 6.3 inches. Now, I will give the advantage to the A54 in terms of display quality. It does 120 Hertz compared to 90. It also gets brighter at 1000 nits compared to around 930. So if you're someone who's constantly using their phone outdoors, the extra brightness will come in handy. Now, both devices have the camera directly in the top center. One is 32 megapixels on the A54. It takes good photos. I still think the Pixel's 10.8 megapixel front-facing camera takes better photos. The colors look a bit more filled out. It's not as soft. It just makes me look better in the photo. All right, so right now you're looking at the front-facing cameras on the Pixel 7 versus the Samsung Galaxy A54. You guys let me know which one looks better, and of course, which one has the better microphone. Both phones have two speakers, one in the earpiece, and then of course you have another one at the bottom. I will say that the Pixel 7 does get a little bit louder. Not by much, only by a couple of decibels, but it is the louder of the two smartphones. The good news though is that you do get a micro SD card slot with the Galaxy A54. And a lot of people out there still appreciate good expandable storage. You don't find that anymore on premium smartphones, which is where the Pixel 7 is directly targeted. So whatever storage amount you buy, that's exactly what you're stuck with for the duration of using the smartphone. Now, one thing I did notice is that the buttons on the Galaxy A54 have improved a lot compared to last year's Galaxy A53. Last year, the buttons were smushy. They felt like you were touching my fat belly. It was a different situation. Now they're toyed, okay? They're looking good. They're buff. They feel nice and clicky when you touch the smartphone, which is exactly what I want to feel. In terms of the actual fingerprint scanner, I would probably say it's slightly better on the Galaxy A54. I just get a lot less false positives when I'm using the phone compared to the Pixel 7. They're pretty good on both, but I'm gonna give the slight edge to the A54. But the biggest difference between both of these devices is hands down the software and performance. Now look, I like One UI. It's come a long way from the old days of TouchWiz. It's probably my second favorite operating or theme rather on an Android phone after the clean experience you get from a Pixel. Everyone differs here. I know a lot of you out there prefer One UI, but also a lot of other people out there prefer stock Android that the Pixel offers. Either way, I think both themes are very nice. Personally, I'm a Pixel guy. I like the way it looks a little bit better, but there's nothing wrong with One UI. The only thing that I have quite a beef with is the actual performance. This Exynos 1380 chipset that's inside of here is okay. You know, like it doesn't feel mid-range. It feels more like budget to mid-range. And you notice it at times. Like I'll be using the phone and then I'll leave an app and then you'll have some micro lag, or you'll be scrolling through something and you'll notice a little bit of lagging, or you'll be opening up an app and there's a little bit of a delay before it finally opens up. Now, don't get me wrong, it happens on the Pixel 7 too sometimes, but it's far and few between compared to what happens on the A54. But if all you care about is the camera, then I would still go with the Pixel 7. Like you do get 3 lenses with the Galaxy A54. You have a 50 megapixel sensor, which is very close to the one on the S23. You have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then you have a 5 megapixel macro lens, which I find to be very useless. It's not a very good macro lens. In fact, I wouldn't even care if it was on the phone or not. Whereas with the Pixel 7, you just get 2, 50 megapixel wide lens, and then of course you have that 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. Both phones take good photos throughout the entire day, but the Pixel 7 is just more consistent. I do find that the A54 tends to brighten up images sometimes when it doesn't need to, and sometimes you get scenes that are a little bit overexposed. Now you do get more of a punchier look with the A54, whereas you have more of a contrasty image with the Pixel 7. Overall, the Pixel 7 does take better photos. It's the photo champ, we know that, but the A54 does absolutely fine during the day. When it comes down to portrait photography, again, the Pixel 7 is a little bit better. In terms of nighttime photography, they were pretty close. I was surprised. The Galaxy A54 did keep up, but one thing I noticed was that taking a nighttime photo on the A54 was a bit slower than the Pixel 7. Like sometimes I'd have to wait there. And not so much because it's counting down. Like I know sometimes it keeps the shutter open longer to grab more light in, but it's the processing afterwards that happens that felt longer on the A54. So even though both phones have to do some computational photography before the photo is created or put together rather, the A54 did take a longer time to do that because of the slower processor. As for video, I think they both did a great job. I do like the colors better on the Galaxy A54, but I do think that the Pixel 7 did a better job of stabilizing the footage. Oh, one other thing I noticed was the haptics on the Pixel 7 were a bit more intense than on the A54. Like you could feel them a bit better when you're typing, so if that's important to you, you'll appreciate the Pixel 7 instead. But the one area that the A54 did have an advantage was battery life. Like this is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery compared to just under 5,000 on the Pixel 7. They're almost equal. Like if you're talking about keeping the phones on idle, the A54 will last longer, but if you're continuously using both phones all day, I did find the battery life to be pretty equal, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of screen on time, depending on how hard you're using the phone. The one thing I don't like about the A54 though, is that there's no wireless charging. So if that's important to you like it is to me, then you're not going to appreciate it, whereas the Pixel 7 does have it. So here's the thing. I like the A54. I think it's a cool device. I just feel like they're asking a bit too much. If this was like $75 to $100 cheaper, this would be a like solid phone to pick up. But the problem is it's a premium looking phone that offers sub mid-range performance. And I'm kind of worried how that will play out years to come. The good news though is that you do get more updates on this device. I think you get 4 years of OS updates and 5 years of security, whereas the Google phone is 3 years of OS updates and then 5 years of security. So there's some advantages there, but when these phones are priced exactly at $449, picking up the Pixel is a no-brainer. Unless you must have a micro SD card, then I can see why you'd want the A54 instead. Now for all the rest of you out there who live in different parts of the world where the Pixel 7 is very expensive, I don't even know how this phone would stack up for you, the A54, because I feel like you just have so many better options out there from all those other vendors from Realme to Poco that have tons of mid-range phones flooding on the market every 10 days. So anyways, that wraps up this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.